Hey everybody, my name is Scott and I'd like to welcome you out to my channel of how I do what I do. Most of these videos are basically what I do pretty much 7 days a week. How I fix things, repair things, and sometimes make things better. In today's video, I'm going to be replacing my standard headlights on a 2004 Chevrolet C4500 Kodiak truck to LEDs. This is not a hard process, but there's a couple of details you need to know, which this is my first job of doing this also, that I had to figure out. So come along with me and I'll show you how I do what I do. Now these are the standard headlights that are on the truck right now. The ones on the outside are just your standard lights, and they also have a high beam. And the ones on the inside, when turned on, are only high beam. So you've got 3 wires on this one and 2 wires on this one. Pretty simple, yet it's really not. I'll show you what I had to go through to figure out how to change it to this. Okay, before we get too far into the video, let me show you what we're going to be installing today. I got this off Amazon. It was under $100. It came with all 4 lights, all the hardware, all the clips, everything. They claim you don't need anything else other than what's in the box. So, start out pretty simple. You got all of your adapters. So basically what I understand is this is going to plug into where your old lights came out of, and then this will be what it will be plugged into the new lights we're using. You got 4 of those. You got this set, I guess, is hooked up, and this set is hooked up. There's black, yellow, red, and I'll go back to this a little bit. You got black, yellow, red. What I understand is just because a black should be a ground and a red should be a hot, and don't go by that. You need to check what these lights are before you start. So that's just giving you kind of an inside. So it's an LED light. All 4 are the same. So you've got your center ones will be your low beams. So you've got 1, 2, 3 center ones. You've got a side light and a side light. Okay. Then you've got, when it goes on the high beams, you have the side lights on side, all 3 in the center. And then you've got the 4 on the bottom and the 4 on the top. Now it does not matter if you mount them this way or if you turn them over and mount them the other way. It absolutely makes no difference. It gets down to where this plug is going to go into on the back to what kind of room you have. But from what I understand, it does not matter up or down, left or right. So again, you get 4 of these. It's under $100. Now the tools you're going to need to do this job, at least my truck, it's a 2004 Chevy Kodiak truck. So these are the tools that I'm going to need. Yeah, I'm going to need what they call a torque. A torque is similar to a Phillips, but it's actually got either 5 sides, 6 sides. Those are usually the ones I see, but you're going to need a torque for my particular job. I will need I use a long, what do you call it, Phillips screwdriver, just so I can get in there. You're going to need some electrical tape. You're going to need a tester. You'll need a DeWalt to make some of the screws come out a little easier. I have an extra battery that I pulled out of one of my other trucks, and the reason why I did that is because I want to be able to test the lights to find out what each light does, what the wires are. Now, if you don't have an extra battery, you don't want to go through that, you can also use your battery charger, and I'll show you how to go about using your battery charger for testing these lights also. So this is pretty much all you're going to need, or at least all I'm going to need to do this job. Okay, first things first. We need to know, looking at this, these are just your headlights. Up here is your high beams, and all of them come on for the high beams. So we need to know, out of these 3 wires, I'm pretty sure this will be the ground. We need to know which one's high beam, which one's low beam. I am a car guy, but I don't know which one's high beam, which one's low beam. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my battery charger. And the reason why I say battery charger, I've got a battery charger that's just a cheap battery charger. It'll go 2 amps or 6 amps. So I put it on 6 amps. It's just what I use all the time. And then I'm just going to take my leads. Okay, I'm going to take the black and I'm going to hook the black up to the black. Okay, I haven't been able to find any wiring diagrams any place that'll show me how to do this. And then I'm going to take, I believe black and red is the high beams, so I'm going to take the yellow. I think that's the low beams. So when I turn that on, That's your low beams. I don't want to blind you guys, but you can see that that is the low beams. Okay, so black is your ground, red or yellow is your low beams. Now let's go to the red wire. When I go to the red wire, I touched it there for a second, and I tilt it again, you can see that now all the lights are coming on. Follow me so far? So that was pretty simple. So just to verify, you know, you can check a couple things. You're not going to ruin anything. It's LED. Let's say I hook red and yellow together. So if I hook this one over here and I hook this one over here, nothing comes on. So I've got it hooked up this way. Or let me move the camera. I've got red to black. There, it's not doing anything. Kind of follow me? So there's only one way that's going to hook these up that will make them come on. So what we know so far is the black is the ground. Okay? And I'm going to do it again because there's a reason. There's your low. There's your high. Now, if I go the opposite way and I hook red over here and I come this way, I've reversed it. I hook red to black, black to red, the light does not come on. If I come over here and I've got the red to the black wire over here and the black to the yellow, it will not come on. So that tells me there's my ground, no matter what. Now I know that this video is a little long, but I want to make sure you guys understand what I'm doing. Okay, so there, we know that the way that this is wired up right now, here's my ground. Yellow's low, red's high. Now, if you don't have a battery charger, you can also use a battery. You're gonna have to put a couple wires up on your ground and your positive, and you're gonna touch the wires together, just like I use the battery charger. This is kind of a pro tip. I've been doing this for years. Whenever I wire a trailer behind my truck, I just hook it up to my battery charger, and that's just how I do it. So it's just something I've been doing for years. Now that you know you can use a battery charger or you can use a battery, and you know that the black is the ground, the yellow one in the center up on top is your low, and your red is your high beams, let's check to make sure each one of these are the same. So you got black, yellow, red. That's the same. Huh, this one's got black, red. Where's the yellow? Up, the yellow wire fell out. So when the yellow wire falls out, you got to make sure that you're putting them in correctly. So if you look at that, it can be done like this, or you can flip it around and it can be done like that. So you're going to have to look inside of here to see how it goes. So if you look at this, it's flat. Let's see if I can show you. It's flat over here, and then they kind of curl around. So they curl around, go down, and go around. You just got to look at them. You look inside, and then make sure you push them in the same way. Otherwise, when you put them in, they will fall out. There's a little clip right here on the back. You can see it up on top, that little clip. You want to make sure that little clip sticks out just a little bit. Get your fingernail underneath it, use a straight screwdriver, and just kind of pull it out just a little bit. Doesn't have to go out far, just because this is what catches it when you push it in, that it doesn't push out. So you want to make sure that that's like that. Okay? So you take it like that, and you're going to push it in, see? So it goes up. So if you're doing the red one, it would go like this. If you're doing the yellow one, it's going to go like this, black one. So you want to make sure. Once you put it in, see, there, now it stays in place. Okay, so you want to make sure they're all the same. Black, yellow, red. Black, yellow, red. So now they're all the same. So now we know this. So now we're going to go to the truck and find out how the truck is wired. Okay, first things first, you got to take this bezel off. There's two screws over here, which I already took off. You're going to use your torque. Your torque kind of looks like a star. This is what two of the screws look like. They're over here. You got two more right here. Pretty simple. I'm going to try to run through this as fast as I can for you guys. I apologize for how long some of these videos take. This one is going to be no different. It's probably going to take 15 minutes for me to show you how to do all this. And I hope that this helps you guys out. If you could, at this point, please, if you find these videos helpful, please subscribe to my channel. It helps me out. I'm a very small channel, but I enjoy doing these things for you. Now, these are the two lights. You got 2 screws up here, you got 2 down here, 2 up here, 2 here. First things first, just take your Phillips and just give it a little. I feel with a hand Phillips, sometimes you can push a little harder and get them to move. I don't want to strip these out, because that's usually what happens when you use a cordless, is sometimes they'll strip out and stuff. Anyways, and a little tight. So we'll go ahead and take these out. So it shouldn't take me that long to get them out. Okay. Now we'll go ahead and use the cordless. Pretty simple. The light falls right out. Okay. Since this one only is the high beams, it just has 2 over here. And just gently jiggle it back and forth and it comes off. That's pretty much all there is to pulling the headlight out. And do the same thing on the other side. Make sure you don't lose your screws. And we'll go ahead and do the other side next. Okay, as you can see, pretty simple to do. But like I said, my recommendation would be to use a screwdriver on this first. Take the bezel off, pull the light out. Be careful with your wires. Pull your wires out as far as you can. Just jiggle it back and forth. Set those aside. Okay, that's pretty much all there is. Now, I'm going to show you what all these, you got 3 connections here. One's ground, and one's probably for high beams, low beams. One's, and then over here you got one's ground and the other one's for the high beams. So on the outside I have low beam, high beam, and on the inside it's just high beams. So I'll go ahead and show you how to figure out what's going on with the lights before you do the install. Okay, now I've showed you the lights that are going to be going in place. I showed you the tools needed, and I showed you how to check out the lights to figure out what's high beam and what's low beam. Now we're going to figure it out on the truck. We're going to start with the high beams. The high beams just have 2 wires. Okay, so since it only has 2 wires, it's just going to be the black wire and the red wire. It is not going to need the yellow wire, because when you're using the black for the ground and the red wire, it's high beam. All the lights are on. So we just need to figure out which one, because like with the battery and like with the battery charger, when I flip the wires, they won't come on. So you need to know which one's hot and which one's not. Okay, over here, same thing. When you look at this plug, over on, let me see if I can hold it. Over on the left side is the black one, the green's in the center, and the red's on the other side. So if I hold it like this, black should be on the left, and then I've got the red on top, or the green on top and the red. So we're going to verify what all these wires do. So the next thing we're going to do is we're only going to turn on our headlights, and we're going to figure out what the wires do. So I'm inside my truck. I'm just turning on my lights. I'm verifying that my brights are not on, and then we'll check it out from here. So like in previous videos, I always use a Milwaukee tester, meter, whatever you want to call it. You're going to go to DC. AC is what you use in a house. DC, which is 12-volt current, is what is in your car. You're going to come down here. You're going to go from off all the way over to here, and it'll say DC in the window. So when I turn it, it's AC, DC. It says DC right there. So you're going to need this tester set on DC. You got black for ground, red for hot. Okay, so I put the meter here. I got it set to DC. Got your ground, usually black, red. So I'm going to start on the left because I'm pretty sure that's the ground. Okay, still got nothing because I haven't hooked up the other one. Now if I go ahead and I hook up the other one, we're at 10.5 volts. So that tells me that the one over here is my low beams, because the one in the center has not been turned on yet. So Let me go ahead and pull that out, put that in there. And yeah, getting a little bit of energy, but not enough. So I go back, 10.5. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and turn on my high beams. Okay, now that I have the high beams on, we already know that the one over here on this side, on the right, is for the low beams. I'm touching it right now. I'm getting a little bit. Let's go to the center. Okay, 10.3 on the meter. So we know that the center is the high beams. Okay, now we're going to go over to the other one. Now this is just high beams. This is just one on the left, one on the right. You got a green and a black. Now, this is a little different. Watch. If I take the black one and put it into the black wire, and I touch that over there, I get 10.5. Right? If I take this and I put it in the other side and I touch it, I still get 10.5. It does not matter which way you do these. Okay? So I just want you to know, this is hot only when you're in high beams. Okay, so I've got one of my LED lights right here. You're going to go back into your truck or your car, whatever you're working on, and before you hook this up, turn it back to where it's just your headlights, no high beams. So we already know that the black is the ground, or we're going to stick that over on the left because we've already verified that that was the ground. We know that the yellow from earlier is our low beams, and when we touch that right to there, pushed in, it comes on. So that tells us that when we take the red one and we put that in the high beams and we go ahead and click that on, it's going to work. Okay, when you get your clips like I showed you before, you got red, the yellow, the black. Well, for the for the high beams, you're only going to use the black and the red, so I have removed the yellow. I just pulled it completely out of there, which that's all you got to do is use a little screwdriver in this hole right here and you can pop it out. So I just popped it right out of there because I don't want to use it and I don't want to confuse myself in the future. Now that you've got your clip in, you've taken the yellow one out, which goes to the low beams, and we're not using those. You got your red and your black wires. I'm going to hook over here the black to the black, but on the back side of this it's a green wire right here, and I'm going to hook the red to the green. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay, I've got my son Parker in the truck. This is my low beams, and then with high beams it turns on both. So Parker, go ahead and turn on the lights. Okay, that's just my low beams. Parker, turn on the high beams. So now you've got all the lights on both sides. So now basically you're done. Parker, go ahead and turn off the lights. Thank you so much, buddy. Just like I did with this, I'm going to use some electrical tape and just make sure that these connections cannot be touched by anything. It's just something that I've learned to do over the years. Some people think that I overkill on everything. That's fine. This is my truck and I don't want to have a problem, ever. So once you got your tape on the other side, what you want to do is, you've got a pretty good crevice back here. Just be gentle with it. You know, you don't want to kink the wires, you don't want to cut the wires on any kind of, like this. This is a sharp edge on the inside right here. You don't want anything to cut the wires, but just kind of get it in there to where it's out of the way, because it's got to go in there. You got to get all this crap in there. Now I want this at the bottom because I want the DOT SAE sign at the top. So that's just an anal retentive thing about me, but that's the way I want it done. So you got to kind of work it in there and just be gentle with it. Don't force it. Well, come on. There it goes. There. That looks pretty good. When you're doing your bezel that goes around, my suggestion is start with the bottom screws when you're putting them in. And the reason why is if you go to the top screw, this pops out and then it won't hold. So just do one of your bottom screws first. Take it and put it like that. Stick it on the hole and get it approximately where it moved on me. The bottom ones are always a real pain in the butt to do because I've had to change other headlights. I've never done LED lights before. just kind of get it started. And once you get it started, then it'll become easier for you. If I wouldn't have gotten my finger stuck in it. Ouch, that hurts. That hurts. Everybody wonders why my hands are all messed up. Well, that's why. Okay, I got that one there. This one up here. And these I'm just screwing in by hand. Just like so. I wouldn't recommend having gorilla hands on this, but just make sure that the screws do bottom out so that the bezel does hold it in there tight. Otherwise, you're going to have shaky lights driving down the street, and you're going to drive oncoming traffic crazy when they're coming at you. Okay, now that you got that, we're going to put the cover back on. I don't know about you guys, but that sure does look sexy. Let's put the bezel on the outside trim piece, and we'll go ahead and we'll light these puppies up. And what I did is I cleaned out all the way around, and now I'll put the trim piece back on. There we go. Pretty simple for the most part. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And we'll get these trim pieces put back on, and then we'll show you how it works with the finished product. And that's what the finished product looks like with the trim piece on and the lights in place. Now let's go ahead and test them. Well, check out the lights. This came out pretty good. Here's your headlights, and then I'll show you what the driving lights look on, or the brights. Here's your brights. So that's not too bad. We got that on both sides. Well, I hope you enjoyed that last video on how to install LED lights in a truck. I assume it'll work for a truck, a car, or any other vehicle. I really appreciate everybody turning into my channel, all my subscribers. I apologize for not posting a lot lately. I had a long summer with a lot of other projects I was working on, but I'll start posting at least once a week till at least maybe the end of the year. And for those of you that haven't subscribed, I'd appreciate it down in the right corner if you hit subscribe and then hit the little bell. Every time I put out a video, it'll notify you. And with that, I'll see you on the next video. Thank you everybody for showing up and seeing how I do what I do. Have a great day, everybody.